I'm an outdoor enthusiast, but ended up turning into a madman editor.
Wes Gregg's film, Portage The Legend, documents his trip with 4 friends as they canoe and portage some extremely rough but incredibly beautiful country. From the heart of Wells Grey Provincial Park, Portage The Legend is an inspiring journey.
The funnest part, obviously, was getting to spend 7 days with some really close friends and working together as a team. But obviously the most challenging part is the portage between Hobson Lake and Clearwater Lake, in that it's actually recommended on the adventure website to abandon all ideas of carrying any watercraft, be it pack canoe, pack kayak, or an actual canoe. So nobody had done it. From what we know, nobody's portaged that trail in probably 20-25 years. And nobody's actually hiked that trail all the way into Hobson Lake in 3 years from the information we got from parks. Luckily for us, they flagged their trail, but there wasn't much of a trail there. If you get an opportunity to watch the film, which is on YouTube, you'll see that when we're walking through the bush, it's basically just bushwhacking, carrying 2 canoes, one 55-pound canoe and another 60-pound canoe with 45-pound packs. It was probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to do in my life. We had slated for 2 days to do the portage. It's 14 kilometers. We were hoping that it would only take us a day, but when we were only halfway after the first day, it's pouring rain the whole time, we're soaked, the Devil's Club up to your elbows, reality really sets in when you're like, well, there's no turning around now, and can it possibly get worse? And that's when we realized that we were in pretty deep. That's when things got real serious. The trail wasn't blazed in there, and from that point, we're at an elevation of close to 1,000 meters. And from there, we just started going up one creek draw and down another creek draw, and up one creek draw and down another creek draw, and ended up actually having to rope the boats out of Lickskillet Creek because it was just too steep to try to carry them. So, you know, we had packed rope with us, and so we just threw the ropes down, tied the canoes onto the rope, and just pulled them up the bank. And then the next challenge on that part was there was about it's quite a large burn block before you get to Hobson, and that was the most terrifying spot because the growth had been only 10 years, so there's no big trees, all the marking now is gone, and the GPS kept pointing us into places that were essentially like brush over your head, not being able to see, and it seemed like the perfect spot for a grizzly bear to be hanging out. So luckily for us, Colin had an actual compass bearing, and that's how we managed to get through that section, and the compass bearing helped, and then the next thing you know, we came out of the burn block, and lo and behold, we were right on the trail, and all thanks to just a simple old school compass bearing and looking at our maps.
Over the years, I've discovered a lot about myself on these trips. One thing is that I always get frustrated at some point or another. I don't know if it's the lack of good sleep, good food, or just sheer exhaustion. Either way, I generally react by not thinking rationally. With a group this size, it was definitely bound to happen.
I think the most important thing about these trips is that reset for your life, away from the stresses of your job and the stresses of your home, and not that the stresses of preparing and the stresses of being on the trip aren't any different, but they're more relaxing. And I mean, we take these trips obviously very serious. I mean, it's not a small venture, and the risk of injury out there could lead to death in that kind of situation because we're so far out. So you always have that on the back of your mind, but especially when you're dealing with wildlife and stuff like that. But It's just such a great opportunity to get out and experience the beauty of the caribou and just remind all of us that, you know, there's a lot more to life than paying your bills and having stuff and you know, sitting around playing video games. You know, we're pretty excited and pretty proud of ourselves for accomplishing it. There were definitely some scary times and you know, coming back to why you do these types of things, it's to just remind yourself of the challenges and to overcome those challenges, no matter how much your body hurts or how stupid you think something might be. You know, you really have no choice. You know, you can't turn around and go home and be like, well, this is no fun, I'm going home. I mean, you're stuck with it and you have to deal with the choices that you make and just move on forward.
Portage the Legend can be found on YouTube. Reporting for Go Quesnel, I'm John McKenzie.